There is a blueprint inside of you. You didn't choose it. You didn't design it. You didn't even know it was being built. But from the moment you were born, every word spoken to you, every hug withheld, every time you cried and no one came, your brain was quietly taking notes. It was building a map of the world, a map that told you whether you were safe or dangerous, whether you were worthy or worthless, whether love was something that stayed or something that always eventually left. And here's the terrifying part. That map, that silent blueprint, is still running your life today. Your relationships, your fears, your self-worth, your ability to feel joy, all of it, quietly shaped by what happened to you before. You were even old enough to understand what was happening. Today, we're going to look at that blueprint. And more importantly, we're going to talk about how to redraw it. Section 1, the brain under construction, why childhood is everything. To understand why childhood neglect is so powerful, you first need to understand one crucial fact about the human brain. It is not born complete. Unlike almost every other organ in your body, the brain is massively unfinished at birth. In fact, at the moment a child enters the world, only about 25% of the brain's adult volume has developed. The remaining 75%? It builds itself after birth, through experience, through relationship, through the world around it. This is why the first 5 to 7 years of life are what neuroscientists call the critical period, a window of time during which the brain is almost liquid in its sensitivity. It absorbs everything. Every loving touch strengthens neural pathways connected to safety and trust. Every moment of warmth builds the architecture of emotional regulation. Every "I love you" literally shapes the structure of a child's developing prefrontal cortex. But the reverse is also true. Every moment of coldness, every need that went unmet, every emotional absence from a parent who was physically present but completely unreachable. These experiences don't just pass through, they build the brain too, just in a very different direction. Dr. Bruce Perry, one of the world's leading neuroscientists in childhood trauma, puts it this way: the brain reflects the experiences that shaped it. And when those experiences include neglect, the brain reflects that too. Section 2, what neglect actually does to the brain, the science. Let's get specific, because this is not abstract. This is biology. This is happening inside real people, maybe even inside you. The amygdala, your brain's alarm system, gets overworked. The amygdala is the part of your brain responsible for detecting threat. In children who grow up in emotionally neglectful environments, the amygdala becomes chronically overactivated. It is in a constant state of high alert, scanning every room, every facial expression, every tone of voice, looking for the danger that it learned was always just around the corner. As adults, this shows up as anxiety that feels impossible to explain, a racing heart before social situations, an inability to relax even when everything is objectively fine, because your amygdala never got the message that the threat is over. The prefrontal cortex, your rational brain, gets underdeveloped. The prefrontal cortex handles emotional regulation, decision-making, empathy, and impulse control. Here's what research from Harvard's Center on the Developing Child has consistently shown: children who experience neglect develop a smaller, less connected prefrontal cortex. This means that as adults, managing emotions feels physically harder for them, because it literally is. Conflict triggers meltdowns. Rejection feels catastrophic. Stress feels completely overwhelming. This is not weakness. This is neuroscience. The hippocampus, your memory center, shrinks under stress. Studies using brain imaging have found that chronic childhood stress, including emotional neglect, leads to a measurably smaller hippocampus. The hippocampus is responsible for memory, learning, and putting emotions in context. When it's compromised, the past and present blur together. An argument with a partner doesn't just feel like an argument. It feels like every time you were ever abandoned, rejected, or ignored. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between then and now. And that is one of neglect's most painful long-term effects. Cortisol, the stress hormone, floods everything. In healthy childhoods, stress is temporary. The child is scared. The parent soothes them. The cortisol drops. In neglectful homes, no one comes. The cortisol stays elevated for hours, for days, eventually for years. This prolonged cortisol flooding damages brain tissue, weakens the immune system, and creates what scientists call a toxic stress response, a body that is permanently stuck in survival mode. Section 3. The hidden symptoms no one talks about. Here's the thing about childhood neglect. It doesn't leave visible scars. There are no bruises, no hospital records, no obvious trauma to point to, which is exactly why so many people carry it for decades without ever recognizing it. They just think, this is who I am. This is just how I'm built. But these are not personality traits. They are symptoms. You feel emotions too intensely, or not at all. The emotional thermostat was never calibrated properly. So you either feel everything at a devastating volume, or you feel strangely, disturbingly nothing. You have a deep, unshakable feeling of emptiness. Not sadness exactly, just a hollowness. Like something essential was supposed to be there, and it never arrived. You are extremely hard on yourself. The inner critic is relentless, perfectionistic, never satisfied. Because as a child, love felt conditional, given only when you performed, achieved, or stayed quiet. So you learned that you are only as valuable as your output. You struggle to set boundaries, or you set walls instead of boundaries, because no one ever modeled what a healthy limit looked like. Either you give everything until you collapse, or you shut everyone out completely. There's no comfortable middle. You are deeply uncomfortable receiving love. Compliments feel suspicious. Kindness makes you uneasy. You wait for the catch, because in your early life, warmth was either rare or unpredictable. You feel like a burden, not because you are one, but because somewhere in childhood, your needs, your very existence, felt like an inconvenience to the people who were supposed to cherish you. Do you recognize yourself in any of this? If you do, take a breath. What you're feeling is recognition, not diagnosis. And recognition is where healing begins. Section 4. Redrawing the blueprint. The road to real healing. Now I want to tell you the most important thing in this entire video. The blueprint can be redrawn, not erased, not forgotten, but fundamentally changed. The same neuroplasticity that allowed neglect to shape your brain in childhood, that same miraculous flexibility, allows you to reshape it now. It takes longer as an adult. It takes more intention, but it is absolutely scientifically, personally possible. Here is how that healing actually begins. Step 1. Understand your story without shame. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. Start by learning about childhood emotional neglect. Read about it. Watch about it. Talk about it. Understanding the science of what happened to you removes the shame of it. You weren't broken. You were shaped, and what was shaped can be reshaped. Step 2. Learn to feel your feelings safely. This is perhaps the most fundamental skill that neglected children never learned. Start small. When an emotion arises, don't push it away and don't drown in it. Simply name it. I feel anxious right now. I feel sad. I feel lonely. Naming an emotion activates the prefrontal cortex and literally calms the amygdala. This is called affect labeling, and it is one of the most powerful self-regulation tools neuroscience has ever discovered. Step 3. Challenge the core beliefs. The beliefs planted in childhood. I am too much. I am not enough. I don't deserve love. These are not truths. They are conclusions a child drew from an impossible situation. Begin to question them. Is this actually true, or is this what I was taught to believe? Step 4. Build corrective experiences. One of the most healing things a person can do is experience consistent, safe, loving relationships. Not because one relationship fixes everything, but because each safe interaction slowly teaches your nervous system. Not everyone will leave. Not everyone will hurt you. Safety is real. This can come from a therapist, a trusted friend, a support group, or a loving partner. The key word is consistent. Your nervous system needs repetition to believe it. Step 5. Work with the body, not just the mind. Trauma is stored in the body. The tightness in your chest, the chronic tension in your shoulders, the shallow breathing you don't even notice anymore. Practices like somatic therapy, breathwork, yoga, and mindful movement help release what talk therapy alone cannot always reach. Your body has been holding this for years. It deserves the chance to let it go. Step 6. Consider professional therapy. Trauma-informed therapy, EMDR, internal family systems. Cognitive behavioral therapy. There are entire modalities of treatment designed specifically for exactly what you've been through. A good therapist doesn't fix you. They walk with you while you find your way back to yourself. And if you've never had access to consistent, unconditional support, that relationship alone can begin to rewire the blueprint. Section 5. A direct message for the person who needed to hear this. I want to speak directly to someone right now. Someone who grew up in a house that had everything, except the one thing that mattered most. Someone who learned to be invisible, who made themselves small so they wouldn't be a burden. Someone who became so good at taking care of everyone else that they forgot. They were allowed to have needs too. You were not the problem. You were a child, doing the only things a child can do: loving, needing, reaching out. And the people who should have reached back couldn't. That was their wound, not your unworthiness. Your brain adapted to survive a world that should have been safe. And that adaptation, as painful as it has been, is also proof of your extraordinary resilience. You survived, and now, maybe for the first time, you are starting to do something even more powerful than survive. You are starting to understand, and understanding is the first act of healing. The blueprint is not your destiny, it is your starting point. If this video made something shift inside you, even slightly, I want you to do 3 things right now. 1. Comment below. Tell me which part of this video hit you the hardest. Was it the science? The symptoms? The message at the end? 2. Share this video. Someone in your life is carrying this silently right now. 3. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week, we go deeper into the psychology of healing, the real science, the real stories, and the real tools that help people finally become free. You didn't find this video by accident. Something in you was ready. Let's keep going together.